Released as far back as May of last year, it didn't take long for fans to fall in love with the Snowpiercer series, resulting in the confirmation from Netflix that we would soon be graced with a second season. And now that the anticipated season has finally arrived with new episodes being launched on a weekly basis, we can finally find out more about the titular train. But what if we told you that this second season is looking to change everything we currently know about the frigid world of Melanie and Audrey? Well, stick around, because you won't want to miss a thing. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. The story so far. Season 1 picks up by introducing us to a world ruined by humanity who forced the Earth into a second ice age by trying to reverse the effects of global warming. To escape the inhospitable environment left by this intervention, Wilford Industries built a train by the name of Snowpiercer, which made use of perpetual energy in the form of its eternal engine. With an engine such as this, Snowpiercer would be able to protect its passengers from the harsh exterior of the train, while allowing them to live on until the world was able to be inhabited again. Flash forward 7 years after this extinction-level event, and we find Andre Layton, as portrayed by David Diggs, who just so happens to live in squalor in the tail section of the train. Like his compatriots, he is sick and tired of living like this, while those in the front sections of Snowpiercer live in luxury. He finally gets to see the rest of the train when he is called to investigate a murder. His skills as a detective being quite sought after by the powers that be, this leads to the discovery that Mr. Wilford of Wilford Industries, who everyone still believes to be alive and in control of the train, is no longer on board. As it turns out, Melanie Cavill, as portrayed by Jennifer Connelly, kept this little lie alive by playing pre-recorded speeches of Mr. Wilford to instill hope in the passengers, while she was actually the one in control. Sticking solidly with the tail section, Layton decides to stage a coup and fight to the front of the train with the intention to establish democracy. And while this plan was a solid one, which ended in eventful success, after many deaths, a twist arrived. Another train quickly attached itself to the tail section of Snowpiercer, slamming on brakes and causing it to stop in its tracks. And the ruler of this perpetual motion machine is said to be no other than Mr. Wilford himself, back to claim what was stolen from him by Melanie, the transformation of the tail. Something else that set the first season of Snowpiercer apart from other Netflix originals was the overarching message that followed the series. Throughout the runtime of the show, we were introduced to an exaggerated system of class disparity where the inhabitants of the tail of Snowpiercer were treated like absolute dirt, which those from a higher class used the hard work of their inhabitants to live in absolute luxury. It collected critical acclaim by encapsulating this message that rings true when you look at our own world, where people in poorer countries are paid next to nothing to create luxury items that we pay the richest in society for. But now that Mr. Wilford has attached himself to the tail of Snowpiercer, things are about to change. While the tail was originally seen as a dungeon of sorts which inhabitants couldn't wait to escape from, it is now considered to be more of a border of sorts connecting the trains to the perpetual motion machine of Mr. Wilford. In other words, the importance of the tail has flipped completely and will likely be used as an area of defense to stop forces from the other train from making it onto Snowpiercer. We can also expect far less infighting, which became the core point of drama for the franchise in the first season. Now that the class system of Snowpiercer has been abolished by the win of the tailies, everyone considers themselves to be on equal footing, and as such will be forced to fight together against the real enemy, who just so happens to be portrayed by the incredible Sean Bean. But don't get us wrong, we don't think infighting will be completely withdrawn from the series, especially when we consider just how loyal Ruth Wardell has always been to Mr. Wilford's calling. Exploration outside of the train. In the trailer and first episode of the second season, we were reminded that Melanie was in the process of trying to fix Snowpiercer once Mr. Wilford decided to attach his perpetual motion machine to its rear. After being deprived of oxygen for quite some time though, she lay on her back and looked upward towards the sky, only to marvel at a solitary snowflake that slowly drifted towards her helmet. Having to snap out of this moment or be left behind, she collected some snow off the ground and jumped aboard Wilford's portion of the train with the sample. Since we were told in the first season of the show that the Earth was far too cold to allow for snow to fall, this is a pretty important moment in the series that is sure to affect how the second season is about to run. If Melanie was not hallucinating and it was in fact snowing outside of Snowpiercer, this means that the Earth is actually beginning to get warmer again, showing that the inhospitable zone outside is starting to get a lot more hospitable. As such, we can expect Melanie and Audrey Audrey to launch a few experiments during the runtime of the second season and confirm this fact, which will likely result in an exploration of the desolate wasteland and what is left of the world. Since we have only seen glimpses of the outside from the immediate area of Snowpiercer, a true exploration will be an incredible moment in the show, with viewers begging since the end of the first season to see more of what is out there. So let's hope that we do actually get to see more. And who knows, maybe the new and improved colony of Snowpiercer is about to meet another colony who survived underground for all these years. Now that's a thought. Like mother, like daughter. At the midpoint of first season, we were also introduced to the heartbreaking story of Melanies Past, who, when attempting to steal Snowpiercer from Mr. Wilford, lost her daughter in the process. The loss of her daughter to the freeze, as the passengers refer to it, is what left Melanie emotionally broken and unable to commit to Bennett Knox, with whom she has quite a bit of chemistry if we do say so ourselves. But Snowpiercer is full of twists and turns, with the season 1 finale introducing us to someone who we had only heard about through Melanie, her long-lost daughter, Alexandra. According to the trailer for season 2, Alexandra was saved by Mr. Wilford just before the freeze, and as such was made into the engineer of Big Alice, which is the name given by Mr. Wilford to the perpetual motion machine he now finds himself on. This means that after all this time, Alex's mind has been poisoned by Mr. Wilford, who, after having Snowpiercer stolen from him by Melanie, has a real hatred for her. In other words, we can expect Melanie to feel overjoyed by seeing Alex, only to have Alex express nothing but resentment for the mother who still feels guilty for leaving her behind. The role of Mr. Wilford. Another piece of information we see in both the trailer and first episode of season 2 is the fact that Melanie was able to sabotage the disconnect mechanism of Big Alice, causing the smaller perpetual motion machine to be connected to Snowpiercer for the foreseeable future. In other words, Mr. Wilford won't be using his little engine to leave Snowpiercer without power and causing the residents' deaths, as this would essentially lead to his own death a few minutes later. This means that he will have to come up with a new plan to regain control of Snowpiercer. But what could this entail? Well, we all saw how Wilford was able to take a loving child like Alexandra and turn her against her mother in the 7 years that they've been apart. We also know that Wilford is far more brains than he is brawn, as seen by the fact that he had the foresight to build exactly what was needed to keep humanity going through these troubling times. Because of this, his name has carried quite a lot of weight, with many, both on and off Snowpiercer, considering him to still be the savior of humanity. We can thus expect Wilford to use this silver tongue of his to turn the inhabitants of Snowpiercer against one another. We can already see a crack in the form of Ruth, who is brilliantly portrayed by the enigmatic Alison Wright. Ruth has always been incredibly loyal to the Wilford name, and to the day still wears her hospitality uniform with pride. We also know from the first episode that Wilford remembers Ruth, possibly foreshadowing that this is the first inhabitant he will be trying to corrupt. And if Ruth surprises us all by remaining loyal to the train over and above Mr. Wilford, the other inhabitants of Snowpiercer are still up for grabs. We mustn't forget that these passengers are recovering after doing battle with one another in an effort to destroy the class system of the train. The skills of Mr. Wilford are surely enough to widen a rift and destroy the bond between these people, which was only formed a few days ago. We expect it would be as easy as him saying that those who side with him will live in luxury, while those who don't will live like the Tailies did. So, what do you think of the Netflix original in comparison to the 2013 movie of the same name? And what do you want to see in the second season? Feel free to let us know in the comments section down below.